Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. Whangarei Boys High School has paid tribute to a much loved and treasured son and brother who died on a school caving trip yesterday. The Year 11 student was washed away in floodwaters and his body was recovered from Abbey Caves last night.
While many in the school community have questioned why the trip went ahead despite weather warnings, the first person to raise the alarm has described the teacher with the group as a hero. Perry Wilson explains why.
Where there was once a police cordon protecting a desperate search and rescue operation in Abbey Caves, now there were just flowers in honour of a teenager who lost his life on a school trip.
I was the person that phoned 111 yesterday in this tragedy, and still pretty cut up about it. It's pretty tragic losing a young man like that. You know, he's got a lot of life left to go. I'm really sorry that we couldn't help. We'll do more.
At least 15 Year 11 students from Whangarei Boys High entered the caves yesterday morning. Caleb Salisbury was paving concrete next door when the heavens opened and the rain rushed in.
3 or 4 young guys came running in and asking for a phone and asking for help, so we were on the phone straight away. And honestly, the police were here in under 15 minutes.
The conditions in the caves, perilous.
So they said that the water came up in under a minute to neck deep.
He had special praise for one of the boys who came and got him and ran with him to the caves.
He was really brave. He'll know who he is. Well done, mate. You did really well. Sorry about your friend.
Local iwi were there last night when the victim's body was found.
It was a beautiful night. It was very still, and while it was a heavy wairua and we all shed tears, there was a sense of peace as well, because at least we have our tamaiti and he is in the arms of his loved ones.
Those who live closest to the caves say it's hard to stomach.
Awful, awful. We're all saddened, and the comment is it shouldn't have happened. It's also a young boy. Any tragedy like that's sad.
Just 10 minutes away, Whangarei Boys High School was open today. Emotions were running high. Parents dropping their children off at school, fighting back tears.
I actually want to cry because this was an avoidable situation.
And while there is heartache, there's a growing sense of fierce frustration the kids were there in the first place. People in Whangarei today feeling bitterly disappointed.
You send your kids to school, you expect them to come home.
A sombre feeling, it was dark. I think it's definitely on the school.
It's a horrible tragedy. I mean, I feel really bad for everybody involved.
And while there are still questions about why the students were in the caves in the first place, Caleb says the teacher in there with them was a hero who put his life on the line.
He was pinned against the rocks, pulling boys out from under the water. That man is devastated. Like, he collapsed when he realised there was one missing. He was absolutely mortified. That teacher's a hero. Like, he saved a whole lot of lives. There would have been a whole lot of dead kids in there, and he did his absolute best. You know, he was underwater. He got dragged out in the end because he was underwater for as long as he could handle it.
Caleb is urging people not to judge the teacher with the boys too quickly.
There's a lot of people online that just love to sit behind the keyboard and smash a situation where they know nothing about.
A number of investigations have now begun into what happened at Abbey Caves.
Well, Perry joins us now. Kia ora, Perry. Have the boys' family said anything?
Yeah, good evening, Mike. We have heard from the families today who in a statement to Newshub say they want to thank search and rescue teams and they want the country to respect their privacy. Now, there is a rāhui in place for Kiore Taretare, or the Abbey Caves network, which is just beyond the cordon behind me, that will be closed indefinitely for the foreseeable future. And Whangarei Boys High School have just released a statement. In it, the principal says it really is important for me to let you know how devastated we are that one of our whānau have lost a much-loved and treasured son and brother. And while that statement acknowledges that there are still a lot of questions out there, the principal has refused to answer them until the investigations are done.
Perry Wilton in Whangarei. Tēnā koe.
Well, a Northland man who assisted in yesterday's rescue effort has told Newshub constant monitoring of the weather in the lead up to trips is critical.
Ian Fox says years can go by between caving accidents, but when something goes wrong, it's crucial to have highly skilled crew on hand. Isabel Ewing reports.
In 2007, a group of high school students rescued from a caving system in Northland.
Good work, team, good work. You've done well.
A sudden downpour flooded the entrance, leaving half the group trapped. 3 News reporter Bob McNeil was even pulled in to help.
Some of them had to hold on to a rope and be towed underwater before popping out to safety.
Ian Fox was director of the company that took the students into the cave back then. His business partner was trapped with them.
He told me it was like a wall of water, maybe half a metre high, coming down the passage rapidly.
Fox says May is on the edge of the caving season, so extra care is required. Involved in cave rescue training for search and rescue for years, Fox was involved yesterday and says with no cell coverage or ability to use an emergency locator beacon, immense care must be taken in what are essentially underground stream systems.
Whatever water's coming down that stream, whether it's from the outside or built up from within the cave, has to go through there, and if you get a choke point, water can back up.
On the Whangarei Boys High School website, the Year 11 Outdoor Education Risk Assessment for Caving says instructed to check weather leading up to trip and check water levels before trip if there has been rain. Postpone trip if water levels may be too high.
You should at least be mindful of the environment and understanding what the risks are in the sense of weather and things which can potentially go wrong.
I think it is every parent's worst possible nightmare to send your child off to school in the morning and not have them return safely home in the evening.
When the news of the missing boy reached his hapu, members came to the cave and stayed until around midnight.
We made the decision through our elders last night to close the caves and to execute a rahui across that space, Abbey Caves, Kiore Oreore, because it's important to allow the place to rest and to cleanse.
The Prime Minister said today that the Ministry of Education has a team supporting the school community and that the coroner and WorkSafe is investigating. Isabel Ewing, Newshub.